As sailors, we have the good fortune of being surrounded by nature every day. A perfect symphony from clouds drifting across wide open skies to thousands of fish dancing around reefs beneath the waves. And while it may not seem obvious, our boat Indioko plays her part too. The wide variety of systems we have on board all need to work together to keep us moving. For the last 4 years, we've been working tirelessly to restore our leopard catamaran to the blue water cruiser she deserves to be. Our brand new Nanni engines have given us the freedom to travel, but unbeknownst to us, a gremlin has been lurking below deck.
Ian is back on board now after his emergency dentist trip to Tahiti, and we would really like to get going as soon as possible because this anchorage is so rolly and uncomfortable. But unfortunately, we are stuck here for just a little while longer. What's going on?
Yeah, okay, this wasn't the plan. So basically, long story short, it seems like we might have some dirty fuel.
Boo!
Yeah. I don't know how boring to get with it, but basically, unfortunately, we don't get to fill up from very reputable filling stations as we travel around the world. And so it's not uncommon for us to pick up a bit of dirt along the way. Usually we're pretty lucky, but somewhere we've obviously filled the tanks with some slime. That, or it's just got to the point now where 20 years of usage and the slime has gotten that bad. That
Yeah, right.
Like a layer of mud on the bottom of the tank. I don't quite know yet, but either way, we aren't in a built-up place enough that we can polish the fuel with like a professional service, so we're going to have to improvise.
That's what we're best at.
First thing we're going to do is we're going to remove this, which is the fuel sender. This is the device that actually measures how much fuel is in the tank, but it's also the biggest inspection port we have on these old tanks. There's no other way in. Literally, you've got the fuel comes out here, goes back in here, because that's how the engine operates, and then this port, and these two are like breathers, basically, for filling the tank up and air to escape. And so, yeah, this is the only 1.5 inch hole that we have to try and
It's not looking good, is it? So this tank is very, very full of diesel. We don't have enough jerry cans to empty the whole thing out into something else, but we have one. Well, we have a couple, and we're going to try and build some kind of DIY hosey pipey thing which will clean it out and then put it back into the same tank. It's going to go swimmingly.
Let's not use that word in case this goes really, really badly wrong. All right, so I guess what we'll do, we'll take one of our reserve jerry cans, we'll empty it into the other tank, and then that gives us like a reservoir. Like we can use that to pull the fuel out of here, put it into that, then clean the fuel and then put it back in, and hopefully somehow magically collect all the dirt.
Yeah, well, let's give it a try. It's like we planned it with the new covers that I just finished making. Well, I didn't. I've made 2 out of 4 for the jerry cans, but we get to test them out.
Look how smug you are. This is actually quite well thought out. I do like them, it has to be said. We just need 2 more, please.
Oh, come on. Don't drop the handle in the sea, don't drop the handle in the sea. Like, this has a string on it, but it just twists around when you're turning it, and I would like some kind of system which means that when I inevitably drop it, we don't have to dive down 12 meters to find it. Well, you have to.
There we go. I was going to say, we don't have to. Okay, so now that we have an empty jerry can, we're going to try and polish the fuel using just the bits we had kicking around on the boat, which is going to get creative. So we're going to use a drill.
Standard tool for cleaning fuel.
It's a good opener. The main reason for that is, if you remember on our Pacific crossing, we had these really cool drain pumps. So basically this thing is like a little impeller, I guess, a rubber fan. It connects to the end of the drill, and then when it turns, it siphons up fuel from one side and then fires out the other, which is fine, except we have to get all the way down to the bottom of the tanks. And so what we did was we dug around I made this.
It looks so high tech.
Basically, it's zip ties and a batten. Actually, half a batten. I don't know why or where we got this half a batten.
And I don't know why we kept it once we discovered it.
It's probably a reasonable
But it's
suggestion.
fulfilling its purpose now.
It now is. So basically, the idea is this will go down into the tank, and then we can kind of navigate around, and hopefully, when it's in the tank, it's going to kind of act like a hoover. So we're just going to kind of go along the surface like that, and hopefully hoover up any gunk and nastiness that's sitting on the bottom. The reason for that is that the way the fuel tank works, there's like something very similar. There's a metal pipe that runs down, and it's just off the bottom of the tank, and that's where it sucks up fuel off to the engine. So we reckon what's happening is that the gunk is getting sucked into that line and then blocking the pipe that runs all the way back to the engine, which is causing the engine to cut out. So super annoying problem to have. Even more interesting when you're out here and this is what you have available.
And the plan is we're going to pull out like 5 gallons of diesel from the tank, fill up that jerry can just straight with whatever gunky goop we get, and then using this funnel, we're going to pour this back into the same diesel tank, and hopefully these little filters will catch any goop. And we're just going to have to do that over and over and over again until hopefully we get all of it. Yeah, so you pass the drill to me.
It's a boat. They never make enough space for this sort of thing to happen.
And then I can put this end in a jerry can.
You should be able to pull that quite close to you by this time. What's really interesting is this little assembly is not very big, and it is only just going to fit in. Like the zip ties.
That's what I was just looking at. The zip
call.
ties are making it quite a tight fit. Oh, it's working! It's working!
Not seeing any gunge though. Oh, we have dirt.
And now I have to really not overfill the jerry can.
It's like giving your fuel tanks a colonic.
Oh, it's weird.
Look at all that.
Oh, that's horrible.
Whoa! Round one.
Let's see what we got.
The colour of the fuel coming out didn't look all that bad.
No, but it definitely had stuff in it.
But it's cloudy.
Oh, yeah? I wonder if the camera's going to see in there.
I don't know, maybe we'll get a glass. Hang on. That's probably not coming up on camera too easy, but it's kind of like cloudy, very cloudy, with bits of dirt floating around inside it. Like, this glass is opaque, it has got a frosting to it, but like, you should be able to see my hand through that. And instead, it's just flakes of dirt floating around in a cloud of soup. I mean, I can't see the bottom of the jerry can, so I guess that means it's just full of dirt floating around like that right now.
All right, so then we have to pour that back through the funnel.
Through our funnel and hope that that's enough to catch all of this muck, or at least the big bits.
At least the big bits.
Yeah.
It'll do something.
It can't do any harm. Let's just put it out.
Exactly.
It may not fix the problem, but it can't do any harm.
Okay.
See, it doesn't even look that bad when it pours out the funnel like that, but in the bottle, you couldn't see the bottom, so.
I know, I was just thinking the stuff that I'm pouring out looks okay, but maybe that means that all of the gunk is now stuck at the bottom of the jerry can.
I mean, that's great if this is like a 3-stage filtering process.
Yeah. Should we sacrifice some water maker filters as well to just add into the system?
For the time being, this is about the only useful filter we have, short of me uninstalling ray cores and things from the actual engine bays.
That seems like a faff.
It seems like a bit of a pain, yeah. And if it comes to it, we will do it. But really, I'm hoping that it's just the big gunks. Big gunks? Big particles that we have to get rid of. The very fine stuff that's floating around, I'm hoping that our ray core will catch that when it filters through just before the engines. Almost there. It's going to be really interesting to see just how much that funnel collects.
Let it go down a little bit before I pour the last bit in so it doesn't spill.
This is why we don't filter at the fuel station. I mean, we probably should, but also it
takes so long.
Like,
we already feel bad when we go fill up because we're on the fuel dock for so long. And a lot of fuel docks say like, oh, cruisers can't go out weekends because we take too long to fill our tanks, and they want to make money out of all the local boats who are going out just on Saturday afternoon or whatever. So yeah, if we added in this filtering system, we would be there for like
a day.
3 days.
Well, it's like 70 gallons per tank.
Each side, yeah.
Yeah, and this thing's funneling at about, I don't know, a mil?
It is going very slowly.
10 mil a minute. There is no way on earth people actually use these funnels at a fuel station. We've been sat here for like 15 minutes and it's gone down by less than an inch. I don't know if that means we've overfilled it or there's a plug we didn't know is involved, but like, this is just stupid.
Do you think there's like a security cap on the inside that we were supposed to take off?
We have done some research and looked into those big funnels. Supposed to be high throughput. Unfortunately, the mesh that it uses, the filtration mesh, is so fine that basically it was getting clogged up the second we put fuel in there, which is good because it means it's doing its job, but is very bad because of the level of the fuel we have. So we have elected to turn this into a multi-stage process, which will probably make it a multi-day process, in which we're using a different funnel. Basically, it's just a fairly cheap fuel funnel, but it's got a wire mesh in it, which is just a bit larger, lets a bit more fuel through, and catches the big bits of dirt. It still does mean that the small bits of dirt are getting back into the tank, so this is really just a step one. We're going to catch the big stuff, and then step two, we'll do it again, but using the mixer funnel, probably, and try and catch the smaller stuff.
That's the hope.
One of those little funnels, and this is what we caught. Ugh, that should be a silver mesh.
Shows that it's working though, huh?
That's the big stuff for sure, yeah. That's all getting caught up in our fuel pipes.
Yeah.
Wow.
So we're just gonna keep doing that over and over again.
This is gonna be the world's slowest fuel polishing system ever. All right, I think we have just about got the fuel situation under control. We have been hard at it for a couple of days now, cleaning the fuel, pumping it through the tank and all sorts. We've now sealed all of that up, primed the engine, and it all kind of comes down to this. We're gonna see if the engines start, and if they do, we'll see how long they last.
Yeah, so now we just have to see how long it will run for. It will turn on, run fine, and just hopefully won't suck up any more big blobs of gunk.
Last float. One more to go.
So when we were filtering the fuel in our tank, we cycled most of it back into the tank after it had been cleaned, but the stuff that was like really grubby, we just poured into these bottles. And you can see how absolutely disgusting it was. Like, that's been sitting for about 24 hours and has not yet settled. But you can see at the bottom there is a layer of bits and grime and things that definitely shouldn't be in there. So the plan today is we are just passing the airport here, and basically at the other end of this island there is another pass in and out of the lagoon, and we're sort of hoping that as the winds die down it might be okay. Basically this whole atoll seems to be really rolly, and I don't think there's terribly much more protection at the other one, but as long as the wind dies down we should be all right. Good little test for the engine and see if it can cope that far before we then actually deal with going through a pass where we crucially need propulsion. We're not going very far, so we've just left all of the pearl floats loose on the trampolines, but while we're underway, I thought I could show you what we have been using to anchor. So Mantus sent us their anchor hook to test out. Previously, we had just been tying our bridle through the lowest thimble onto our chain with a shackle. However, you can see how corroded that has become. Like, that is terrifying. Our whole boat is attached to the bridle with this, and it did not have much life left in it. So we have been testing out the chain hook, from Mantus, and it is pretty good. It was a little bit fiddly with our shackle to get it on and off the chain very easily, and this one didn't even have a captive pin, so I was terrified every time I used it that I was going to drop the pin and then we would be really screwed. Sometimes I'd have to use a shackle key to get it off if we had been anchored for more than a week somewhere and it just sort of seized up. But so far, this seems to be pretty good. So underway, it just stores right here in our anchor locker. We already had this U-bolt, which is where it used to attach with the shackle going through, but we've just hung a couple of loose links of chain onto that, and the hook just sits on the chain in the same way that we would actually hook it on when we drop anchor, and I know it's not going anywhere because it's got this strap. I'll do my best to try and put a camera in here as we drop anchor so you can see how I attach it onto the chain. And then, we just put that extra little strap on just to make sure that if the wind dies and the pressure comes off the bridle, that it doesn't unhook itself. But so far, so good.
So far, we've managed to keep both engines running smoothly on this anchoring. It's It's a little bit challenging actually. So where we've chosen to anchor, I might show you on a map, there's an exit of the pass. There's like two mouths, if you like. So essentially we're being kind of twisted by the water and going in and out of the pass, plus all the fetch that comes up across the whole atoll. So the boat keeps trying to twist in funny ways as we're trying to keep the pearl floats and the chain in a straight line. But engines are performing like a champ. I love this.
Just about ready to drop the last of the bridle.
All right.
Dropping.
All right, we'll back down on that and we'll be good.
Just realised both engines are still running.
Yeah.
That's been a treat.
It's been a real treat from here, I'll tell you that. Okay, now we just say all is set. And now we back down with both engines. I usually go to about 1500 RPM. And then all I do is I'll watch this number. If it says we're not moving anymore, it's asking me, do we think this is holding? And I get to look at the side of the boat. Okay, sign from the bow. And I take a quick peek off the side here and just confirm for myself that we're not moving. Looks good. Tell Zora we're holding. And that locks in the best anchor alarm we could ever dream of. How cool is that? 2 engines. So much easier.
We can move again and it's happy and exciting instead of slightly annoying and
terrifying.
a little bit scary. Woohoo!
Woohoo! And look where we are. Okay, so the other reason that we've come up to this particular anchorage is we've heard that there's a fuel station, a gas station not that far from here. It is made for cars, not boats, so we can't take Indioko there, but we can take Link and a bunch of jerry cans, and hopefully they will let us fill those up at the petrol station, gas station, and then ferry them all back here just to keep things fresh. Because, you know, as long as there's fuel available, we should be taking it. Because most of the places we go, there is no dinosaur juice anywhere to be found.
Planned, but I think we may have just done the most perfect docking of our dinghy ever. So we're on a stern anchor, which is like on a bungee line out the back, and then just had this tiny wall to land on, but it kind of worked.
I'm pretty smug about it, I'll be honest. It's like the exactly perfect length when it's pulled tight as well.
Yeah. So I think the fuel station is just across the road, and now we have to carry the easy, light, empty ones over. And I normally do this, and then you bring them back.
Ah, I hope we got the right beach. It's clearly rush hour. I saw a car. Okay, so Brad's just run in to see if we can do our tax-exempt certificate here, which might be a bit of a push, but you never know, we might get lucky. Otherwise, we're all queued up and ready to fill, and we just have to relay them all back to the boat. Success.
Yes, I think we've got $20 off from 120 down to 100, so it's not quite the 40% off we should have got.
20% off?
But I'll take it.
Is it 20%? It's not 20% off.
It's not 20%, it's slightly less than that, but hey, we save some money.
It helps. Cool. Now we just have to lug these beasts all the way back to the dinghy.
I don't think I can do 2 of these. I can do 1 with several stops.
Excellent.
So you just have to take the other 3.
Thank you.
Is this the lightest one?
Yeah.
Okay, I look really comfortable and natural doing this, don't I? First 3 bottles in the dinghy, and now we have to go back for the one that I wasn't strong enough to carry. But we have decided to fill up our dinghy fuel with petrol rather than diesel at the same time. So it's not really a wasted journey.
No, it makes perfect sense. It's I think they might get déjà vu though when we turn up.
Yeah. Wait, at least it's not far. It is literally like just around the corner from the nearest beach. So it's
working
not
well.
bad.
Yeah, this is an official system.
We have all the fuel we need, nothing more to do. Let's go!
Care to explain what just happened?
I feel like every time we pick up the camera, we're saying, well, that didn't go to plan, but it's not as if anyone expects anything else.
Well, let's just see how this works out. So we have filters, funnel now on the back of the boat. And a dive tank.
And all of my clothes have fallen off. So we thought that the filter was getting a bit bunged up and we've been like wiping it with a tissue every so often, and then we were like, oh, it's really kind of done. Let's just give it a little blast of compressed air from the dive tank, and it was sort of working, but we didn't have enough air going through, so I opened the dive tank a bit too far and the whole filter just flew out of the funnel.
Shot out the back of the boat into the sea, which you then...
So I was like, oh no, the whole plan is like ruined if we do that. So I threw all my clothes off and jumped in after it. Managed to get it back though.
For those of you unaware, Brownie does have a legacy of doing this.
What?
Throwing your clothes off and jumping off the back of the boat to chase after things. We've lost filters, we lost a mattress once.
Hey, we didn't lose the mattress, I got it back.
A double bed mattress. Flew over the entire boat, landed in the sea. Brownie went swimming after it for about, I don't know, 3 kilometers. And then we eventually had to paddle back on a sinking raft of foam.
And we'll just leave that story there.